Welcome. Welcome to the Rev Mel Show. Thank you all the people that have been waiting patiently. Tonight's show was kind of slagged because YouTube, which we broadcast live on, and also on Google Hangout, they basically had a maintenance thing where they were brought down from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and they would not let us broadcast for some reasons. But we are live, and I'm so excited about this evening. Lots of wonderful things are happening in the world of BDSM. And I got to tell you something. I had the most dynamic weekend that I've had in a very, very long time. As you know, many of you know that I teach at the Laird Assad. And I teach there every other week, and I've been doing it for 10 years. And it's such an amazing way for me to give back to my community. It is my way of doing service. So there's a presenter that comes in, and he comes in a lot from Arizona, and he's been to the Lair several times. I've seen him, you know, on many of the classes that he teaches. But I was really wondering about this class that he was teaching called Woo. I want to go woo woo, you know. And I'm very much into spirituality. I'm into things, but you know, I wanted him to be on my show because he really impacted my life on Saturday. And I'm really grateful for the class that he taught about woo and the time that he spent with me at the Laird Assad in the evening at the play party. It was very inspiring. He made me feel very safe, and it was very much of an honor that he got to spend so much time with me. That, I mean, it was an honor that I got to spend so much time with him. I mean, he's a remarkable presenter. He's a real true human being. He's very transparent. He's very loving and caring. And I want to read you a little bit about him. This is from his profile on Fetlife, and his profile on Fetlife is Master Dennis. And he is, it says, I'm an international speaker and presenter on lifestyle issues. I'm a member of APEX, which is Arizona Power Exchange, since 1997. He's an what is it? I'm going to let him talk. Where are you? You can come on. Say hello.
Hello. Hi there.
I'm just so excited. I mean, I'm trying to read through this, but you can see that my excitement is just overflowing, and I'm having a really difficult time. It is done the Butchmanns Experience. He's a founder of Dom Roundtable at Apex. He is also the founder and facilitator of the Advanced Roundtable, and a founder and head master for Apex. He's a columnist. He's written on Ozine, Crystal Bridge. He's a Dom's and on Dom Sub Lifestyles, and he's a contributor writer for Leather and Roses. And he was a head judge for the SWLC Master and Slave competition in 1909.
Not that old.
And he's amazing, and he's also the founder. I can't say the word founder. The founder and clan head of the Dragon Clan, which has 58 members, and they're strong and they're growing. And to me, that is amazing. Everybody, I am so proud to introduce Master Dennis. Thank you so much for coming and having the patience with us. I mean, he's been in the green room waiting and waiting and waiting, and he's been so patient with me as I'm running around with my chicken with like a chicken with the head cut off, and he goes, breathe. It's okay. The universe will manifest whatever it needs to manifest.
It will be what will be.
And it will be what will be. For the people that are watching, please come into the chat room. At the moment, we have a few people that are coming in, and when a few more come in, I'll mention your name. So if you want to hear your name live on the show, come on in, because as the show starts to progress, people start wandering in. It's like me. I'm Jewish, so I'm like the wandering Jew. Yeah. But I'm a converted Jew, so my daughter calls me the fake Jew. So I want to find out. I have so many questions that I'm really, really interested in finding out how you got started into BDSM.
Well, it started as a child. I had twin girls, blonde, blue-eyed, who'd come up and give me rope and say, tie us up again. And that's basically what I would do until I realized that this made me feel kind of funny. And that's when I started to find out more about what I was into. So.
And so you tied them up, and did your parents ever find you tying them up?
No, not really. I never got caught at it. But I did learn to play things like the French maid and the German interrogator, or cowboys and Indians. Actually, it was cowgirls and Indians because I'm Native American also, so I get to tie them up. Later on, it became part of who I was in my teenage years, but I didn't have a name for it. I didn't know what it was.
So in your teenage years, you were tying girls up, and what else were you doing to them besides tying?
Well, most of my relationships were triads. It was an unusual thing. It just seemed right for me and normal for me, but usually it was two females and one man and me.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I was something wild or crazy. It just, that's the way it worked out. Sometimes it would be one would hide in the closet while I was with the other ones. But,
she wanted to, or she was, you know.
one wanted to be more of a voyeur, I guess. But there was no actual flogging or anything like that. It was all sensual. It was all hands. It was nothing I would carry other than my own body. Mm-hmm. And, of course, rope. It wasn't until I started to get older and came out in the community that I met a gentleman who was, I never knew his name. I don't know what his name was. I met him at a house party, you know, one of those where you had the 3 knocks, 4 knocks, and 3, you know, and you had to have the special code and a separate handshake. And he was dressed up in a Japanese kimono, and he was flogging a young lady, and I asked him, what is this? And so he took the time and walked me through it and showed me how it was. And I found out later he was one of the elders from the Society of Janus down in San Diego for a while. Yeah. And he showed me a lot about what was going on, and I learned from there that I needed to learn a lot more. Mm-hmm.
So you knew that you were dominant from the get-go.
Yeah, I went to the military, did 23 years in the military in the Navy, and we went to the best Dom sub school in the world called boot camp. And I realized I was not a submissive, and I wanted to get as much Dom as possible, so I got out of that, and I made rank as quick as I could because I didn't want to be stuck being a submissive. I also was raised Catholic, so it was another Dom sub school.
Yeah, a lot of guilt.
A lot of guilt. And it was also seeing how people acted. Turn that down.
We're here. She's watching it.
But yeah, there was a lot of guilt. There was a lot of things, but there was also a lot of understanding and stories about people who were being aesthetic, or people who were being flogged, or people who were doing other things to get a spiritual side of it. So that was something that stayed with me, and I didn't look at it again until I got a lot older. A lot older.
When you first got involved in BDSM, you didn't, I mean, you really impacted me on Saturday. I really meant that, and I thought that it was incredible. So when you first got into it, you were like most of the guys. You thought with your dick, and
it made me hard, and I went, oh, this is something fun. I'm wearing underwear that's a little too tight, so I'm happy. Then as it progressed, I started to realize that there was more to it. That it wasn't just that I was getting aroused or that I was making others aroused, but there was a connection starting to form between myself and the person who I would be playing with. Mm-hmm. And that's when I realized that it was more of a sensuality, mm-hmm. that the soft stroke and not going for the normal targets that we all go for, like, oh my God, there's a nipple, grab it. Mm-hmm. It was stroke around it, touch everything but that, and I realized the sensuality was far stronger than the sexuality.
I like that. More men. I wish more men would learn that.
Well, I try to pass that on. But as it went further, I started to see the reactions. Now everybody goes, oh, we see people in subspace. I wanted to know why, what was going on in there. And I wanted to understand why those who served me did so.
Mhm.
So I went to a Butchman's, and I went there as a slave. And I was naked, and it was an all-male Butchman's, and I didn't quite understand what was going on. And when I came home, I was wearing a collar. My slave Kia ran away. She didn't want to see me at all with a collar. And I
Gotcha.
came up to Bonnie. I came up to my Miss Bonnie, and I said, I don't understand. And so she did something I used to do when she grabbed the collar. And she says, remember this, masters think, slaves feel, and get out of my head. And when I did that, I realized more about what was going on. And so I realized that a lot of what I was doing was actually defining my own spirituality.
So spirituality has become a very important part of your BDSM journey. But before you got into the spirituality of it, I mean, I've attended some of your classes, interrogation.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that is an amazing class, talking about waterboarding.
Waterboarding for fun.
And you demo.
Go ahead and tell me anything, because it's all going to be a lie, and I don't care. It's what you don't tell me that tells me the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Because part of my training was interrogations.
Yeah. And
so I just took it to a fun level.
So being in the Navy, you learned, you know, things on how to interrogate, and it changes the way that you play. Do you think that a lot of people that have been in the military have that sensibility and have, you know, I mean, I have to admit that so many submissives that I've met that have been in the military have made fabulous slaves.
Yeah. Well, your service, and that's what it is. There's always somebody higher than you, and you need to know that there's always going to be service. Even a master like myself would have to understand that there's some greater thing than me, and I have to follow that. And for me, like we say at Butchman's, it's following the authentic voice, listening to what's the universe is telling us, however you want to call it, cosmic thunder or Harry Muffin or what. It's something that tells us what to do, and we have to trust that it's telling us the right thing to do.
As a dominant, do you feel that service is very important?
It is. I am a service master. I'm a service dominant. Everybody has some service to do. If I'm going to have somebody give me service, I need to understand what it is that they're giving me, and are they serving in joy, is what we like to say. And in that case, I have to also understand what service means. And it's not always easy to remember. Sometimes we swallow our own Kool-Aid, and sometimes our propaganda gets in our way, but we have to understand, as masters or as dominants, there's more to it than just getting what we want. There's understanding why.
What do you think that you have as a dominant male that separates you and that makes you different from other dominant male? Is there something that characteristic about you?
I wouldn't say that there's a lot of difference between myself and other people, other than maybe trying to get in touch with what's in my heart, trying to get in touch with what is my spirit. I'm not going to say I'm more than anybody else. I just think that for us to become more of ourselves, we have to look into ourselves deeper.
So when you're, started with BDSM, did you start it in Phoenix, or are you from somewhere else?
I'm from San Diego originally.
Water?
That's my ocean. That's my ocean. You guys can play in it, but I'm out here in Phoenix now. But I started in San Diego, and it was very much a private situation, private thing. Some of the people who were into the swinger side of it knew that I was one of these people that was a sensualist, because it was all my hands and different parts of myself. And they would invite me to swingers clubs or swinger meetings to talk and show about what this other thing was called kink. And so I started showing them different things, but I never really felt comfortable in the swinger type of society. I was always feeling like I needed to be somewhere else. But because I was in the military and had high-level clearances, I had to be very careful and very subdued in my understanding. But now I'm going out and I'm teaching at colleges and talking for the last 13 years I've been teaching at a junior college here for their human sexuality, sociology, and psychology class about who and what we are and how to demystify what we are.
Wow. When you teach as you've been teaching there how long ago?
About 13 years.
13 years. Wow. So you're making a difference, and I think that it's really important for dominants and for anyone that's in the BDSM lifestyle to make a difference in our community and to shed a positive light on who we are instead of a negative light. Is there, this question is kind of, I don't really ask this question very often. Has there been any time that you've ever made a mistake in BDSM?
Constantly. If you don't make mistakes, then you don't learn. Mm-hmm. If you don't make a mistake, that means that you don't see that you made a mistake, and you don't want to believe it. I make mistakes constantly. Mm-hmm. Ask my slave wife. She will be there to tell you, oh, no, sir, you don't make me. Yes, you do. So, yeah, I have made mistakes. I have made faux pas that are on a grand scale. Mm-hmm. But the thing is to persevere and try to see through what it was and what caused it. And sometimes that means having to listen to stuff from those who care for you and who serve you that you may not want to hear.
That's a difficult one because a lot of people really don't want to hear, the truth. And it's easier sometimes to lie and not tell the truth.
Right. I go by military protocol in my own protocol, and that is if they have something they will need to tell me and they're not sure how to do it within protocol, then there's a protocol for it, and that is, sir, may I speak freely? Mm-hmm. Now, the only responses I can give is no, not right now, or yes. I have to understand that if I say yes, or when I say yes, because it's not a matter if I will, it's eventually I will, I have to be able to totally accept what they say. Mm-hmm. And that means without any judgments, I have to just witness and listen. So when my little slave Kia, who is no longer with us, unfortunately, but she told me, sir, may I speak freely? And I said, yes, you may. And she said, sir, I think you're being an asshole. And I went, and there was two things going through my mind. One was, oh, let's see, what should we do about this? And the other one was, I'm so proud of you.
Wow.
The reason I was so proud of her was because she felt comfortable enough in her own skin to be able to tell me this without fear.
Truth.
She gave me truth, and she gave me the truth that was something hard for her to give before. So it was both a proud moment and a contentious one. But I looked at what she had to say, and I realized, yeah, I guess I was being kind of an ass.
Do you think that say that because of the fact that she felt safe with you, and that she trusted you, and how important is trusting and feeling safe with a dominant? How important is it to be submissive?
It is paramount. Mm-hmm. It is very, very important, and the only way that one can feel safe with somebody is like the three-legged stool. It has to be truth, honesty, and communication to make the trust. If you don't have all of those, the legs won't hold you. You will fall down. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to even remember to do. It's a constant need for self-introspection and sometimes having to listen to somebody tell you that you're not doing it. And the strength of it is that the love is there, the care and concern and the compassion is there, that you will listen. You may flare up, you may get a little bit, your hackles may come up, but you still are there, and you're still standing in front of that demon of yourself. So you stand your demons down.
Is it okay for a dominant to fall in love with their submissive or slave or bottom?
I can't do anything other than that. It's just, everybody has their own different ways. Some people, there is no love for my slave. My slave is my tool. My slave is my this. And that's fine. As you say in your logo in the front, we're all in this. We're all a part of this. Each one of us do different things. My BDSM may not be your BDSM. It may not be your BDSM, but part of it's theirs. Mm-hmm. My own world is there has to be a compassion, a nurturing, and a love for the person who is serving me and for them to serve me.
Yeah, I think that's very important. And there also has to be some sort of chemistry. There has to be some energy. And you're very good at energy play. But before we get into talking about that sort of thing, I want to, there's people that are watching. Please join us in the chat room. There's a lot of you that are watching, but you're not coming in the chat room. Bad. You guys will be punished. So come into the chat room because we really want to, we want the questions, we want your inputs. And I know that we started a half an hour late, and I apologize, but you know what? Life happens. And so come into the chat room because I think this is going to be an amazing conversation because I want to learn more about this gentleman. I want to learn about what makes him tick, and I think that he's a very layered personality, and I don't think that he has one way of thinking things. She says, is there still going to be a show? Yes, she doesn't even know there's a show. Hold on a second. Yes. I'm going to tell her to redo the player. Refresh the page. That's what I do. Wow. Oh, I spelled it wrong because it freaked me out. So she has to we had a lot of problems this evening, but that's okay because this is going to be going on YouTube. It's going to be on there forever. So if you've missed any of this, you're going to be able to catch up on it, which is fabulous. If you're watching the show, please put it out on Fetlife. Tell all your friends to come in to TSR Network and come into the chat room and ask the questions because we really want, make sure that you click the player. I'm going to click it also because I'm going to make sure it's working. You guys want me to do that? Just give me 1 second because what can go wrong can go wrong.
Is it up?
Is it up? Is she watching it?
No, not right now. She might.
You yelled at me.
I yelled at her to.
She was watching it.
She was watching it.
Then it's up. Then I don't have to check.
It's up.
It's up. She says it's up.
Yeah, I think that is it Elm? Is she part of your family?
Who is that?
It's
Uma Diva?
Yeah, Uma.
Yes.
Yeah, she's part of our family. Hello, Uma.
Yes, and so I told her to refresh the page. I'm Javier. Oh, she says, yay! She goes, I'm here. I'm so sorry, Uma. You know, I'm so sorry that this has happened. We had to switch the player at the last minute because of the fact the other one was somehow corrupt by YouTube or Google or me. You know, I could have done something wrong too. So we were up and running, so that's all that's important. So you went to the Butchman event,
Mm-hmm.
and what was the main thing that you learned about spirituality or about yourself?
Well, I've been with Butchmanns for almost 12 years now. I've been almost to all of them. But when I went there as a slave, it was to really do a lot of experience. And one of the things I did learn was, one, I'm not a masochist. I'm definitely not a masochist. The other thing I learned was there's a simplicity and beauty in the fact of one giving service that was difficult for me to understand because I needed to understand that with this service that they gave, I also needed to be able to accept that service with grace. It's easy. I'm a retired Navy chief. I can get up and get my own water. I can go make my own coffee. but I'm denying somebody a right to serve, and I'm denying them that. If I wanted to see my slave pout, I'll go get my water, and they'll pout. And I realized what I was doing was denying opportunities. Even the smallest opportunity is important to a slave.
And you can see me breathing. Because you know that was a hard lesson for me. You saw me fight it.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we're on YouTube and we are broadcasting live, we don't have a lot of control of who's watching the show. And we get vanilla people that are watching the show. What would you like to say to a person that is clicking on at this moment that knows nothing about BDSM, that has only heard the horror stories about how we're abused? What would you say to them, to a BDSM person that knows nothing about our lifestyle except the negative of what they think it is?
I would tell them to do research. Don't follow the mass media, because we are not 8mm. We are not Eyes Wide Shut, a stupid movie. We are not 50 Shades of Dysfunctionality. Go look on sites like the Leather Rose or Leather and Rose. Go look on books like the Molly Devon's Screw the Roses, Give Me the Thorns. Look at Jay Wiseman. Look at all these other people. Look for factual things. Now, yeah, you can read all the mental masturbation books like the Beauty series and you know, the Slave Market and all those, but those aren't going to give you reality. Read the books that are talking about what people really have to do, what people have to go through, and read the books where people are honest about the fact that they have made mistakes and learn from them.
Well, I'm going to be interviewing her that wrote the Slave Market. So I'm really excited about it. I met her at EMSA. We have quite a few more people that are watching the show. I think they're starting to send it out, so because we started so late. So right now at the moment also we have Master Alice has come into the chat room, and welcome. And so if you're watching the show, and come into the chat room, because we want to start the conversation in the chat room, but we're waiting for more people to come in. I know it was hard to find us this evening. We apologize, but enough of me saying I'm sorry. So I wanted to know about some of the classes that you teach. You teach some pretty interesting classes. Could you kind of list a few of them, and just lightly touch on each one of them and what it entails? Oh, but before you do that, how can people get a hold of you?
I'm on Fetlife under Master-Dennis, or they can go to the Dragon Clan and see us there. In actuality, we're right at 77 members now, and growing. 87 members now and growing. So it's the 58 is old.
Wait, you have 87?
87, yes. And we're an extended leather family. That does not mean that myself or my slave Bonnie control anybody, other than we are the patriarch and the matriarch.
I mean, okay,
we give good hugs.
Okay, I'm going to put the question about the classes back a little bit. I'm going to go. Why do a clan? Why something like this? I mean, what's the purpose of it? I'm really curious.
Okay. There's a part of my ancestry that's Scottish, besides being Native American. Clan means a group of people who have a person they follow, the clan head. So that's where I came up with clan. It's spelled with a C, folks. But basically, it is a leather family that you choose, not that you're born into. We don't always get along with our blood relatives, but we can find people that we can have like-mindedness in a leather family. Doesn't also mean that we all agree. There's going to be disagreement even within a leather family, but we will talk it out, because in this lifestyle, and I don't like the word lifestyle, in this life, one of the things we develop, because we have to, we're throwing a whip at 720 miles an hour, we have to develop communication, and we have to be able to be concise in that communication with an imprecise language called English. So we have to be able to talk. So if we have a conflict, we actually have ways of talking about it and dealing with it. The clan got to the point where we said it can't be just myself and Bonnie. So we formed a MAsT council, and this was brought up by one of our members, Urukai, and he came up with this, and because I asked him and tasked him to come up with some type of organization. So we have a council that sits there and looks for things for us to do as a community, to help the community, to serve the community, because our credo is leather family, service spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are leather family, which is leather is thicker than blood, and we are service-oriented and spirit-oriented. So the MAsT Council finds things to do. So it could be helping somebody on a legal fund because the one member of a lesbian group is fighting the other one and choosing the lifestyle against them. Or it may be that we need somebody that we can help out because they are in a dire need or dire strait. Or it may be that, hey, somebody's business is trying to get up. Let's go ahead and see if we can help them do that. To even what we're looking at and planning on is things like Habitat for Humanity with the Dragon Clan going out there. I'd love to see on the side of a freeway, the following freeway is cleaned by the Dragon Clan, a leather family. But I don't know if they'll let us do that.
In the chat room, Masters Alice said, "I'm just saying hi from someone who is not in the Dragons Clan." Well, maybe someday. You never know. It could get bigger and bigger. Miss Bonnie's in the chat room. Welcome, welcome. And there are a lot of people that are watching that are, not in the chat room. Please come in. Please. And
there's plenty of room.
There's plenty of room, and please start asking questions. We want as many questions as you guys can give us. Because, I'm sitting here asking questions. I love asking questions, but so are the people that are in your clan, are they only in Phoenix?
Oh, no. We have one in Saudi Arabia. We have a family in England. We have people from San Jose to Connecticut. We have people in San Diego to Texas, and most of them are here in this area, but we have them spread around.
So what does it do to get into your clan?
Ooh, that's one of the things we had to come up with. We have people become aspirants, where they aspire to become that.
Aspirants?
Aspirants.
Okay.
Which they aspire to become a member of the clan. So they write a petition, and for a year they will go around and doing what they can to help out whenever they can. They're not our slaves, and we don't control them. We give them opportunities to serve, and then we watch and see how well they serve and see what they do to help it. Are they members who would be good for the clan? Do they have a service heart? Do they have a leather heart? Do they have what it takes to be in this? And it doesn't take a lot. It just takes spirit and heart. They will get a white T-shirt with the emblem on it, and that shows everybody there that they're an aspirant. They have to go and meet as many members of the clan as possible to learn about them and learn from them. They also have to be able to present a class or two.
Our job is education.
Because we are an education group.
Well, Uma is saying things in the chat room, which is amazing. She says, "We hear each other," or "decorating human trees."
Yeah, because she's part of the Kinky Claws group.
She's good for that.
She says, Dragon Clan is one of the biggest supporters of a charity event I produced in Arizona, Season Beatings. I remember that. And then we have Mr. Cross has come into, is that Myra Cross?
Cross?
Yeah, he's come into the chat room, says, "Good evening from the Raven Cross house." And there's more people that are coming in that I can see in the viewership. It's starting to build up, which is fabulous. Thank you all. Please, if you're watching the show, please send this link out to everybody you know and tell them to get their butts in here, because I want to know more about this clan. Raven Sir is that says hi, Raven Sir. Is that okay? Hello. So,
hello, Raven. He's not a member of the clan, but they're a family that's associated with us. We are friends.
So what do you say to people who say this is an occult?
Oh, it's not a cult because I'm
We don't control.
I'm too lazy to be a cult. We don't control anything. There are many separate little or even big leather families that are part of our leather family. We only have a like-mindedness towards service and spirit and community and education. So I don't tell somebody else how to run their family. I don't tell them and how to do what they do, and I don't go and put myself into their family. It's more like it's kind of like a mentorship, and yet it's not. It's more of I'm sorry, say that. Well, it is a mentor group. We have a mentor group. It's called the Dragon Clan Mentor Group, where anybody can go. They don't have to be Dragon Clan members. And it doesn't matter if they've been in this lifestyle for 30 years or a week. They're going to be able to teach us something, even if it's what we forgot.
Emma's in the room saying, not a cult. And she goes, so I think she's sticking her tongue out at me, going like, no, it's...
She probably is.
What?
Yes, she is. She is.
Well, you know, I ask these questions because I think they're very important because people think that way. You know, a person that doesn't understand how this is set up and doesn't understand the relationships and why you do this. I mean, they will assume that not to go to any of your functions because they'll have to drink the Kool-Aid.
And there is no Kool-Aid to drink because each of us have our own thought process and we respect how each person thinks. Like I said, I don't control anybody else's family. I control only mine, and then I make suggestions. And that's why we opened it up, because we're so large now, to a council who will look for projects to do. We have people who will help with arbitration if we need to. But I'm not going to go sleep with somebody else's submissive, and I'm not going to go beat on somebody else's submissive. And my wife just said, damn.
I don't want to join now.
Yeah. But that's not what it's about. It's about being able to give a sense of tribe to people who are in need or are looking for or trying to find a sense of community. We have our organizations. There's Lair, there's Threshold, there's all these other things, Apex, DD out in Tucson, all these different communities. But then there's ones that they need to have a little bit more closer association with. So I said, we need to make a clan. We need to have a clan where people can come and feel safe and feel that they can express their viewpoints and their opinions without being judged. So that's what we are.
I'm going to be going. I haven't made the decision, but I think I am going to make a decision. I have to do it by tomorrow. I'm going to be going to the grand opening of the Liberty Manor, which is in Texas. And it is a BDSM town that they're developing. So I'm really excited about it. I have to make that decision, and I think that it might be a great experience. They said they'll treat me like a queen, which is good. Bonnie's
don't forget your tiara.
No, I don't.
Suitcase.
What?
She said she'll put it in your suitcase.
She can come into the picture. She doesn't have to hide.
She likes to be in the dark in the corner.
Oh, a good slave or submissive. Good.
Good slave.
Yeah. See, I never know, so I don't.
Well, she is my slave, but she is a master on her own right. She is a switch also.
And how so?
Yeah, sometimes in a second she can switch. Come here, stick your face over here.
No, I'm not going to stick my face over here.
Okay, well, answer the question. How so are you a switch?
How so am I a switch? A switch is someone who gets to have all the greedy fun they want because they can play both sides.
Hedonist.
They can, yes, a hedonist, definitely a hedonist. You can take and play as a dominant, you can play as a bottom, you can play whatever. And it's because I'm bi too, I get to play even more because I get to play with both sides of that. So I'm a real greedy slut.
She is.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to disrespect her.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you very much.
Bitch is a term of endearment here.
I want to put a wait. Okay, Google's been having lots of problems. I'm going to tell her to refresh her page, or I'm going to have. If somebody's in the chat room, would you please tell Elysium Welcome back! I haven't seen her in such a long time. Welcome back. Please tell her to refresh her page if she's not watching this. I can also type it into Google. They've been upgrading and maintenance stuff, so it's not my fault, you guys. So we're just gonna get on with it. We're recording it, it's going live, so it doesn't matter. So talk to me about your classes.
Well, I try to be a little bit eclectic in the things that I do, such as anything from the spirit of the rope to neo-tantric to interrogations for fun to what the hell do you mean you're little, now what do I do?
Huh?
It's what the hell do you mean you're little, now what do I do? It's teaching those big bad leather doms and masters what to do when their slave or submissive goes, I just want to color in the corner.
Can I bring a stuffy?
You don't mind if I hold the teddy bear while we're getting flogged, do you?
That's another whole class for you.
Breathe.
No, I know about littles, and I respect, what their choices are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I could do it 24 hours. A day.
It usually isn't full 24 hours a day.
How do they separate it?
They separate it naturally, actually. Slave Kia was a very devout slave, but she was also a little. And an example of that is she came home and she was grumpy because work was really not going well. Everything was not working for her. All the electronics didn't work. We know those situations. And she came home and she was grumpy and grouchy and she snapped at me and she went, oh, I'm so sorry, sir. And I said, you need to sit down. You need to go get your colors. You need to get a coloring book, and I want you to color 2 pictures while I'm sitting here typing on my computer doing some writing. And after you get done with the pictures, I want you to go take a timeout nap on the bed. And that's the big bed. It's my bed. So you go take your stuffy and take a nap there. She colored, little tongue sticking out of her mouth. She colored away. She colored a purple elephant, and then she made a purple poop underneath it because she says he's not dancing, he's pooping. And then she went and laid down for 20 minutes, and I came over and woke her up, and she was fine. She was back to being her healthy, lovely self, and she was back to being a devout slave. So it's not a constant thing. It can be for some people, but it's not usually.
I think it's adorable to watch, and but
there's a big difference between age play and little play.
Okay, what is the difference between age play and little play?
In my definition, and this is my definition, other people may have their own, but in my definition, little play, there is no BDSM involved, there is no sex involved. This is where they are a childlike spirit, and we keep them and hold them as a childlike spirit. Now, age play can be the nasty little teenage cheerleaders going, well, is there enough room for all of us under the bleachers? So that's different. But for the other one, they may be just going for a safe spot in their world to reconnect themselves. So I look at it as a spiritual mode, as a spiritual moment for them.
We've seen an influx of a lot of clubs in a lot of places catering to littles, where I haven't seen in many, many years. This seems like it's something newer. Is it a newer generation that's coming in?
Well, I started teaching it about 15 years ago. And it was extremely rare. And now they have their own flag. They have, like you said, houses. They have romper rooms, romper houses, places to go. I think Build-A-Bear was built for them. So there's different things that they're coming out of the woodwork. But so did we. We came out of the woodwork. The hardcore leather BDSM people came out of the woodwork. We were always behind those closed doors. Now we're coming out. So I think it's more of a public acceptance of certain things. There are places where I think that maybe littles and our more hardcore leather cannot mix too easily, such as in a hard scene in a dungeon.
Mhm.
But the littles can still be in that same space over off in the corner doing what they're doing, as long as neither one of them interfere with the other.
Yeah, I've heard that, and I know that people from history, people have throughout history have said daddy or mommy, and they've called each other those affectionate names.
Mm-hmm.
But the little play, I mean, I did a show on littles, and they colored during the whole thing and played at my feet, and then we had the responsible one doing the the conversation with me as an adult, and then she would transfer back into a little. And it says even D types have a little. You mean dominants have a little?
Yes.
Yes, but it's always older than the little that they're with. It's always older than the little that they're with.
He hopes.
The adopted little? I could do all the things that the girls did to me when I was little and pay them back.
There's one little here that loves my hair.
Uh-huh.
She will put beads, braids, bows, everything in my hair.
Glitter.
Glitter, everything, when I allow her to. One time I put myself up on an auction at the Bazaar at Apex, and I said, okay, I'm willing to do whatever you want to do. You want me to flog you for an hour? Do you want me to do some heavy scenes for an hour? And
Big mistake.
she goes up, holds $5, and she says, I want to do your hair. And then everybody started giving her money. She collected $85, I think it was.
$100.
No, $100. She collected $100, and she came up, and I sat there, and I let her do all sorts of things. She had this machine that would make micro braids. Hate that machine. But I did it because it made her happy, and all the other littles that were there, and it doesn't change who I am. I'm still Master Dennis.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still a dominant, and it was a joy to see these little kids who are in adult bodies smiling with childlike wonder.
Well, when we were children, we would play. We would fantasize. We would role play. We'd do. I was the pretty girl in the horse play. I would be the one riding the horse. You know, my name was Pretty Girl, and I was never the horse. I was always the pretty girl riding the horse. So we used to play like that as children all the time, and as adults, we don't seem to do that anymore. I mean, I've gotten really serious in my older age.
How many little girls painted their dad's fingernails and toenails?
My dad would never have let me do that. He was always working.
How many wanted to?
All of them.
All of them. And it doesn't matter because BOIs, the boys, you give them a box of Matchbox cars, and they're playing everywhere, running them up and down the dungeon equipment and everything else, having a grand time. I would hold a littles party in the dungeon. I'd make the chain hoist into a swing. I'd had an adult sit and spin, and I'm taking care of all the littles, and Bonnie would take all the parents, the older ones, and they'd go play poker in the other room.
Okay, let's clarify this for the people that are vanilla that are watching this. We're talking about consensual adults playing. We're not talking about children. We're talking about adults. So I want to be really, really clear on that. You know, and we can role play and do some fabulous, amazing things, and kind of let go of our stressful life. In the Uma in the room says, "Tell her I got some new hair stuff to do your hair."
No. No.
You'll go up for auction again.
I will probably go up for auction again, then Uma, not now.
I'd get a hair.
But yes, we are talking about healthy people who are adults, know they're adults, but will go into a childlike state, and there is nothing done to them. There is no BDSM act there.
Mm-hmm.
The closest thing to a BDSM act would be if they act up and you put them in timeout. And that's it.
Uma says something in the chat room. She says some kids were abused, and the place they go to is the last point of their life that they felt safe.
Safe.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what we do is we supply or provide a safe, secure space for them to be what they need to be at that moment. Whether it's just to sit there and hold and read a book that they have definitely no problems reading because they can read the college textbooks, but they might want to read Green Eggs and Ham. Mm-hmm. They may want me to read a story of Skippy John Jones and make all the voices for it. Like, my ears are too big for my head and my head is too big for my body. I'm not a Chihuahua, I'm a Siamese cat. Or, I'm not a Siamese cat, I'm a Chihuahua.
Yeah.
So things like that. It makes them happy. It makes them giggle. It makes them happy. And afterwards, they are so refreshed that they can go back out and be the lead of a construction site.
So psychologically, they can adapt to their regular stressful life a little bit easier. So it's almost like therapy.
Yes. It's not therapy. I want to make sure that that's clear. It's not therapy, but it is therapeutic. It is refreshing. And that's one of the reasons why I like doing it, because you see them the next day or 3 weeks later and they're happy. Where they may have been grumpy the night before.
If you're happy and you know it. Sorry.
And don't get her started on the other song, Barney.
What, Our World? I'm sorry.
No. I love you, you love me.
See,
I've got a very big paddle for thee.
We actually have bound up a poor Barney one time with chains and ropes and stuffed Barney. I'm suspended from the actual, you know.
I told a couple people I was going to flog Hello Kitty just to watch them go.
Well, somebody brought in a emo, talking emo, tickle emo.
Elmo.
Tickle me Elmo.
And they gave it to me, and I would not let it go. It was at the Lyra side, and all night long I kept doing this, and we were laughing so hard. It was so hysterical. I forgot about that. It was awesome.
Midori took hold of Kia when she was in a little space, and she put Bert and Ernie puppets on her hand and zip-tied them, and then gave her a Rubik's Cube. And she was like this. See, in BDSM we do have a sense of humor. We do fun things. It's not all the things that the press makes us out to be or the media out there. You know, we're not these, you know, horrible taboo person that do horrible things. You know, we have fun. And we're very community-based, and that's what, you know, we're trying to get the message out there to the rest of the world that that's who we are. You know, we have some very, you know, amazing people in this community. One of the things I always look at is the responses after I teach the classes at the community college, and their responses are, oh my God, they're just like us. Oh my God, he's not as big and scary as we thought it was going to be. Oh my goodness, these people are doing things that I've thought of.
Wished I could do.
Wished I could do it, didn't know how, or thought I was bad because I had those thoughts.
Dreams.
Those dreams.
So how many people are actually affected in their lives that, you know, are teenagers that have these thoughts of tying somebody up, of spanking somebody, you know, or, you know, how many of these kids have a hard time dealing with this?
A lot of them do. In fact, I taught a class for NAU to school nurses that when they find a child who's doing cuttings, don't automatically assume that the child is sick. Don't automatically assume that the child has a mental problem. This could be the only way they know how to pump their body with endorphins. This may be the only way they know how to relieve the pain and stress. This is them not knowing what BDSM life is. We can't teach them because they're underage, and we don't want to teach them underage, but they have already reached that point where they're exploring, and they're looking for that.
Well, we had a film that was out several years ago, was The Secretary, and it started out as her as a cutter. And I got the biggest kick out of the movie. It brought a lot of people into BDSM wanting to do some of these things, but I was kind of disturbed a little bit about the fact that she was a cutter and that she came out of a mental institution. Am I wrong for thinking that? I mean, you're making sense to me that, you know, cutters are not necessarily people that are sick. I mean, to tell a
that was the premise of the movie, is where she was coming from, because that's the only way they could get to the vanilla, and I really don't like the term vanilla, but to get to the people who are non-BDSM to see something that they can relate to. We all know of a cutter somewhere in our high school, junior high school time frame. Those were the people that were a little different. Well, they were a little different, but that doesn't mean that they were mentally problems. And that's where the DSMV or the DSM-5 started to change a lot of that. No, 4 actually, and then the 5, where as long as it doesn't interfere with your family life, your social life, and your business or your well-being in your life, then it's not a disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a way of somebody doing it. When we take needle piercings, we automatically flood the body with endorphins, scopolamines, dopamines, all these different brain chemistry, which is far better than anything you can buy on the street. You know, we pump ourselves up with our own naturally made drugs.
Yeah,
that make us feel good.
I told you on Saturday that I submitted once to a slave that I had, and it was quite an experience of going into that place that a lot of dominants don't really know because they've never ventured into it, and it was an interesting experience that, you know, I lost complete track of time, complete track of reality, and I do not like pain. I don't do needles on me. I don't like needles. I don't like anyone to spank me. I don't like anyone to twist my nipples except when I'm really turned on and hot. But we're not going to go into that right now. So, but it was really an interesting. Quit smiling. It was.
I'm just taking notes.
It's really an interesting experience to know where they go.
Yeah. When I got beat by Slave 4 for the Butchmanns, and I realized I was not a masochist, and I made big, large snot bubbles into the pillow, because his arms are about as big as my thighs.
Huh?
But I realized there's a place that I was coming towards. And my friend Sandy used to say Planet Jello, where you'd sit next to the banana piece and the grape, and you just sort of hang on and float. That's subspace.
It was amazing. I don't know if I ever want to go back there, but I think you kind of go there when you are in the throes of making love also.
Yeah.
It's almost like that same feeling.
Endorphins.
It's the endorphins. When you have an orgasm, it's the same as a sneeze. Every muscle in your body tenses. Every muscle in your body tightens. That's why people sometimes have other problems when they have an orgasm. Mm-hmm. It's the same as a sneeze. That's called the petite morte, the small death.
Yeah, you can't tickle me. It's not a fun thing because, never mind.
Never mind. Take that note.
So Bonnie in the chat room, Miss Bonnie, said, I've got a every time someone types in, I lose it. It says, our dreams when we have been told that we were wrong and dirty in our lives, but now the BDSM kink, we actually express ourselves and find out that we are normal. And we just have more, got to scroll back up, more fun than others do sometimes. And she's giggling.
Yeah.
And Elma said, Uma, is it Uma, right?
It's Uma.
And when I was 10 years old, I used to carve on myself so I could feel something, okay? And she said, and Miss Bonnie says that's why most of the cutters do it. They want to feel.
That's right.
You know, this is.
It's not that they are mentally disturbed. They are looking for sensation that they can't find any other way.
Mm-hmm. Well,
There's a class.
Go ahead.
There's a class that I teach. It's on the dominant side. It's the beast within. How to face your demon. Because we, as dominants or as masters or as the tops, may feel that we have something inside of us that is so bad, so wrong. It could be psychotic. It could be sociopathic. It could be something that's really bad. So we lock it away. And when we go to play with somebody and they become close to us, and you know, that falling in love type of thing, then we start pulling back our beast. We start pulling back the intensity of what we do, because now it's the Madonna's thing. It's this is the mother of my children, or this is my wife, or this is my girlfriend, or this is the person I love. So I have to pull that back. I can't let that beast go flying, because that beast is nasty. No, it's not. Your beast is your fetish. The beast is you. Integrate it, and don't be afraid of it. You control it, because if you can't control it, you had already been a sociopath. You had already been a psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've never shown those other tendencies, don't be afraid of what's inside of you that wants to come out. And remember, if you don't give them what they saw in you, they saw that beast, they saw that need, they saw that power, that passion, that flame inside of you. If you don't give that to them, then you're doing them a disservice besides yourself.
I like that. I think that you're right. I mean, we've been told, I mean, especially women are told that, it's, I think boys and girls have been treated differently. I think women are told that you can't be a little whore. You have to guard your virginity. And men, when a man goes out, their father takes him to a whore house, or, oh, you got laid. I'm very proud of my son. I mean, there's a huge difference in the way that the world treats men and women.
Yeah. If it's a male teacher with a young girl, he's thrown in jail. If it's a female teacher with a young boy, oh, good job, boy.
Yeah.
And what's the matter with you, girl?
Yeah.
Look how many times that's happened, unfortunately. Neither one of them should have been.
Yeah, I agree with you. Masters Alice says, I want to stress that BDSM is not therapy.
No, it's not.
But it can provide an outlet. And I think that we have to keep reinforcing that, on this show as we're talking, because, we're talking about some very deep things and some things that, like I said, we don't know what vanilla people are going to be watching this show, and we are trying to represent as true as we can be. I know you hate that word.
No. I'm just saying hi to all the people who may not be used to what we're talking about. Don't be afraid of it. We are actually a slice of society just as you are. We just happen to find different ways to do things quicker. As we like to say, tell the truth quicker. Do things quicker. When I teach a class at the college, I say, how many are dating right now? How many are going, oh, putting your hand over her arm? And sitting there going, when you get to the door, what do? Do you shake her hand? Do you give her a big lip lock? Do you bend her over and do her there on that porch and wait till her dad comes to the door? No, you don't know what to do. You're unbalanced. We sit there and we negotiate, and by the time we're done negotiating, before we ever pick up a flogger, we already know, is there going to be anything going on that may be intimate? Is there not? Is there certain aspects of the intimacy that they like that we may try? Because we have to negotiate everything before it ever touches the skin. Because if we touch the skin and it wasn't negotiated, it's just like walking up to a girl after you sent her 3 big drinks and said, hey, I like you. Want to come home? That's not consent anymore. So,
what is the process that you go through in negotiations? I mean, we all have our certain ways to negotiate. What are the key things that you bring up in negotiations? He's smiling.
Now, I'm thinking, because there's the old joke of what the redneck negotiation is. 6-pack of beer, get in the back of the truck.
I know that.
Honest
negotiation.
My younger brother, while you're thinking of stuff, my younger brother was working in my dad's business, and he was all dressed up, and one of the customers came in, and he goes, what are you doing? Why are you so dressed up? And my brother says, well, I'm going to go out and take a girl out to dinner, and we're going to go have a great time. We're going to go dancing. And the guy goes, what do you mean, take her out to dinner and go dancing? All you do is buy a beer and say, come on, bitch. It was true what he did.
Oh, yeah.
Uma says that negotiations with the one she is now is more extensive than the marriage she got into.
Okay. Uma has put down a comment that you might want to read.
Is it the last one? She says, I think the negotiations I've had with the one I am with is now more extensive than any marriage I got into. I like that. That's fabulous. So let's get back to negotiations, and we've been putting some humor into this. So let's get back to the seriousness of negotiations.
Negotiations, if it's the first time you've ever met somebody, you want to make sure that you cover as much as possible. If you are the one who has the most experience, you really need to make sure that you're making all those connections and all those things that somebody may not think about, such as, well, I noticed that you were watching some of the play, and was there anything that interested you? Well, yeah, you like this and you like this, and okay, but before we can do that, I need to know, because some of us are more seasoned, do we have any medical issues that we need to look at? Oh, you're asthmatic. Okay, do you have an emergency inhaler? Is it close by? Where is it? So if we need it, I can get it. I'm type 2 diabetic, but I'm fine. My sugars are fine. I don't have a heart problem, so you won't hear thump, 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 thunk, and then go, are you all right? Hello?
Mhm.
So we need to know medical. Is there something I should know about you? Do you have anything like claustrophobia? Or you think you might have? Because I may be tying you up. If that's what you wanted to have some rope. Or we may be doing mummification. I need to know this. So you get the medication, you get the possible trips and triggers that you may run into with the understanding that you will never always find all the landmines that are laying around. You have to be aware that a landmine may go off in your face, and you have to be prepared to deal with it, clean the mess up, and not worry about it got you messy. So you take those, whatever you negotiate. Do you like to have any oral gratification?
Are you asking?
No, this is the negotiation. do you have any problems with physical touch? Do you have any problems with intimate touch? If they say no, that's fine. Okay, thank you.
And define it.
And define what you consider intimate touch, outside or internally. Is it touching your nipples, or is it giving you the entire fist? What is it? You need to know. You need to be clear.
Ross in the chat room says PSD. You need to know if they suffer from PSD.
PTSD, yes. You need to know it.
My dyslexia, did I reverse things?
That's right. But PTSD, that's right, because you may be playing with somebody. We all have our own baggage that we don't always even realize we're carrying. Some of us are carrying steamer trunks. Some of us are carrying freight trains. Some of us are carrying freighters. But we may not know what will set them off, even ourselves. So you have to be aware of that. PTSD, you don't know that this person may have been attacked, may have been raped, may have been assaulted. And it doesn't have to be whatever gender. It can be anybody. So you need to know, if I come up close to you, if I move my hand fast and you jerk away, there's an indicator. So is there something that that bothers you? I have to always face the door. I have to know where all the exits are. I have to know how to get out of what I'm in. So you cover all these different things. It may seem like you're doing a lot, but it doesn't take that long if you really think about it. And by God, by the end of the time, you know that you're going to get to play. You're going to have some intimate touch. You may have some oral gratification for both sides, but you're not going to have anything vaginal, or you're not going to have anything anal. You may find out that they're extremely ticklish on the bottom of their feet, so don't touch there, and that they don't like pinches. And if there's anything like they have a latex allergy, so you don't bring anything like that. They're needle phobic, so you keep those hidden. You don't bring those out. They have never experienced the difference between thud and sting. You know all this, and you're not at the end of the night on the front porch going, do I kiss her or do I bend her over now?
So it's about being transparent. I'm not talking about using the word transparent to manipulate somebody. I'm talking about true transparency. And it's about, putting everything out on the table, talking about it. I had a slave that I loaned out to someone, and she had a past memory that came up through the play, and it was that she was sexually molested by her father. By the time I got to her, she was almost comatose.
Right.
And I was, we were almost done with the relationship. I did something wrong, and that's why I like to teach. She was in the, I was outside socializing, and she was seen with someone, and we did a light negotiation, and I know better than that. And by the time I got to her, there was nothing left of her. And it took me months to get her back, months to get her to let go of some of those memories. I mean, it was really bad, and I had no idea, and she had no idea. I mean, this is play brought up to her about what happened to her.
Well, as Western people, we stuff everything. We stuff joy, we stuff pain, we stuff fear, we stuff everything. And during a scene, a cathartic break can happen. And again, this is not therapy. This is just something that occurs. The cathartic break may occur, and we need to be able to understand that tears doesn't mean that it needs to stop. Laughter doesn't mean they're laughing at you. Anger doesn't mean that they're angry at you.
Mm-hmm.
And none of it means it has to stop at that moment. In fact, that usually means the door is just starting to crack open. But you can tell the difference between crying and blood-curdling fear. And that means it needs to stop.
Yes, I agree with you.
Be able to hold. So you have to negotiate not only the play, this physical activity, but you also need to negotiate the aftercare, and it should be the same amount of time as the play. So if you're going to play for an hour, be prepared to hold them for an hour.
Yeah.
And understand this. The top is the one who's putting out all the energy, burning up ergs. The bottom is the one, because we're not talking master and slave, we're just talking about the physicality of it. The bottom is the one who's receiving all this and goes into a state of shock where they get cold.
Mm-hmm.
The blood leaves the extremities, goes direct to the core, and they get cold. And we are hot. We want to go outside and cool off, walk around. They want to be cuddled up and bundled up. They want the warmth that we have. And sometimes we have to remember that, yeah, we may be burning hot and burning up, but that's something that is transferred back to them.
Mm-hmm.
So hold them. Find out if they want to be held, because sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just want to be left alone. Just bundle me up, put me on the couch, and just make sure nobody comes near me. Or hold me, stroke my hair, and call me a good person.
Okay, after the aftercare, I don't know, I'm hearing myself again. Are you hearing me?
I hear you.
Okay. Aftercare, there's something else that happens a day later or a couple of days later.
Drop.
Could you kind of explain to, because like I said, there'll be even non-BDSM people watching this, and what happens to someone when they've done a vigorous play like that?
Well, there can be either a flu-like feeling 3 days later, or they can have this sense of loss or emptiness because they had a connection and now it's not there. Because in the process of doing the activity that they were doing, whatever it was, there was a sense of connection because it's two people relating to each other. There's a rapport. And now 3 days later, they haven't seen this person. There's no contact. They feel an emptiness. So they need to have that check-in call. They need to have that check-in talk. How you doing? Everything all right? Are you breathing well? Hi, I had a wonderful time. It was nice to be with you. Maybe we can have another time again. Something to let them know that you know them as a human who's being. It's like the guy who goes out on a date with a girl first time, gets her into bed, does all that stuff, and then never calls again.
Oh,
there's an emptiness.
Happened to me a lot.
It never happened to me enough. But anyway.
Well, it's also I know a lot of my friends that have run marathons and runners, and afterwards, after the event is over, because they've been training and training and training, and then they run the marathon, and quite a few of my friends have gone into a massive depression afterwards, the way that they feel because of their endorphins lifting up and then dropping.
They are. The body chemistry is very, very powerful. The endorphins, the scopolamine, the dopamine, so those go in there and they just put us from 0 to 100. And then we're exhausted. We're done. I did a very intense scene with Bonnie one time. A very intense scene. In fact, it took me almost 1.5 years to plan it.
Wow.
And once we did it, I made sure that we had good aftercare for her and everything else, but I forgot about aftercare for me. And I wound up walking around out here in the desert for a while because I couldn't sit still. I couldn't stay. I had nobody to talk to. Nobody expressed what was going on because it was an extremely intense scene.
It was almost like your chakras were opened up.
Oh, it was.
Awesome.
I was toast.
Mm-hmm.
She was toast, but I made sure that there were some people around her that would be there for her. And I also made sure that she was getting energy from the appropriate people. So I try to make sure that she gets female energy because a male energy is a whole lot different. So back to that energy play, that's another thing. You need to understand what is it that you're going to fill that space with, that emptiness with. Are you going to fill it with you? That can be a manipulation if you're not careful. or are you filling it with what is needed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's so much talk about, aftercare and sub drop and the Dom drop. I mean, we don't really talk a lot as much about Dom drop as what we really should. And
We hide it.
pardon?
We hide it. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm a stoic Dom. I don't feel that. No, no. Hey, how about them bears? But we do.
So I want to touch a little bit. I mean, we've been, we started late, so we're going to go. If you're okay with this, we'll go a little bit more late. Dennis, are you okay with this?
That's fine.
Okay, fabulous. I want to talk about spirituality with you. What does it mean to you?
The spirituality, the altered state. I'm on a shamanic journey for myself. I was told by people that a shaman should not be part of that experience but should stand from it. And I'm saying that's not how I feel, that's not how I'm taught. A shaman to me is a person who has one foot in this world and one foot in the next. I don't see chakras, I don't see auras, I don't see colors, I don't hear sounds of the people. I'm an intuitive individual and I sense things about them. It's not the little voice in the head going, hey, their heart chakra is twisted a little bit. It's the way they react. I like to consider myself a student of humans being, their rapport that I feel with them. In the process, I found more and more of what I do is more and more a spiritual act. I'm old, so getting my dick hard is not the big thing anymore. The sensuality is always there. It's always there because it's a beautiful thing to me. But the spirituality became much more prevalent when I started to realize that this is transformation. When somebody is being mummified and they break themselves out like a rebirth, again, not therapy, but they break themselves out. It's whatever goes on inside their mind. Because I've been in this lifestyle for a while, I remember when the rule was, as the dominant, you're the tour guide. You're going to take them on this trip. No, I'm not. All I'm doing is being the facilitator for an experience and the witness more than anything else. Not even the facilitator. I'm the witness. Whatever they're going through is them. And so when I flog somebody, it is with love and power. It is, as we say in Butchmanns, love and power. Or it is with, I have no agenda. I have no intent other than to give to you what is right for you. Mm-hmm. And I'm here to witness and see what happens and be here for you when you come back. The spirit is a very powerful, emotional, almost a conflagration within. It's almost like a fire that's burning. I see myself as a dragon. That's my animal. When the dragon has got fire, the dragon has passion. The passion comes from watching someone get that aha moment in their eye, to hear them breathe deeply, to hear them growl, to hear them go into a primal state and know that they are safe in that primal state, to feel what it's like to be what we have forgotten. So I do a lot of primal play. I do a lot of energy play.
You growl a lot.
Growl a lot. Talk about, ooh, the taste of blood. I'm also somewhat sanguine, vampiric, so all of that.
Uma in the chat room says, when you feel the woo, you can feel the woo.
Yes.
Interesting. He gave me some wonderful advice on Saturday. That's why I was so impressed. I've seen him teach so many times, at the Lair, but this class was something that really touched my soul because of some of the things that I've been going through with my own spirituality. I'm not talking about religion here. I'm talking about my spiritual connection. And he gave me some advice to take some moments of waking up in the morning and breathing. So Sunday morning, I woke up and I sat up in the bed and I did some deep breathing and I went into a meditative state. And him and Master Dennis and I talked about one of my spirit guides and that I missed him and that my spirit guide was no longer there. And I just want to tell Master Dennis that I called out to my spirit guide on Sunday morning and I asked him to come back. And I heard this voice inside of my head, and he said that he never left me, that he was always there carrying me, and that I asked him why it was taken away, 15 or 18 years ago, whatever it was. And he said, because you were not ready. And he says, now you are.
Mm-hmm.
So
sometimes we have to go through things.
The impact of having the discussions with you, Master Dennis took a lot of time with me on Saturday night and gave me such wonderful advice, such wonderful kindness, and I just want people to be aware of what he did for me, because this was a very milestone in my in my spirituality. And so I spent 2.5 hours before we did our meditation last night, because we do the Sacred Realm on one Sunday a month, and I sat with candles, and I was quiet. And it's the first time I've been quiet in years. Thank you.
And don't forget to find a little figurine.
I know. Deb told me today, or Raven, she's got so many names now, we're getting them mixed up. She told me that we had to find one with the glasses. And when I did my meditation last night, and before I started everything, even the circle, and the talking stick, I took my glasses off. So I hide behind these. But, it made a lot of sense. And I wasn't going to tell you this live. I was going to wait until after we finished the show and I could tell you privately, but I felt that it was needed because it was such an amazing experience. And yeah, thank you. Spirituality is so important in BDSM. That connection, because of where the submissives go, or the slaves or the bottoms, and where the dominants or the masters or the mistresses go, when they're playing, it is a part of who we are.
When a slave or submissive, a bottom, reaches that nirvanic state where they start to feel that planet jello, we as the top, the dom, the master, the owner, whatever, we reach those states too. It's a spiritual state.
Mm-hmm.
That floating in planet jello is not really just floating in planet jello. It's getting close to what we would call the source, the thing that made us, the energy that is all of us. Carl Jung used to sit there and say we connect into the cosmic overmind. Edgar Cayce would sit there and be able to be intuitive and heal people from just letters they wrote. And he said the best way he could describe it was tapping into this cosmic consciousness. However you see it, it's what happens to us. We start to step from one world to another and stand in both. And it can happen as you're throwing a flogger or as you receive one.
Mm. My mind's going woo-woo.
If you feel the woo, it's the woo.
In the chat room, Elma, I don't know, I keep saying it wrong. Uma. It's because I'm going woo-woo. Uma says, Master Dennis is someone I respect very much, and it does not surprise me that he helped you. I've been getting little things from all over the place of people that have been coming around that saying, and bam. But this, no. So tell me, is there any regrets that you have?
Are there any regrets?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have regrets that I didn't look more with introspection earlier in my life. You know, the old saying, if what I know now I knew then would be so much better. But it's not really a regret because I wouldn't have known what I know now. I had to go through all these different experiences. So the regrets that I have is in the process of me learning the people that I have caused pain. And some of them are still around with me. So that's my regret.
You know, since I've seen you do so many other classes, when I saw you this time, there was something changed in you. There was a different feeling that you had and a different look. There was a lot. I mean, when you first came in, I said to you, it looks like you lost some weight. You know, there has been some changes in you.
Yeah, the last time I was at the lair on our way home, we sat down to watch some TV, and I started to feel my head ratchet to the right, and then I woke up in the hospital. Apparently I had a grand mal seizure, and my blood sugar was over 500, and being a type 2 diabetic, that was not good, and the machine only goes to 500. But apparently, when the ambulance came, I was in the ambulance apologizing to my wife and apologizing to the firemen for them coming out and doing all this stuff. And I was apologizing to everybody, saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make this big ruckus and everything else. I have no memory of it. When the poor girl came in to do the insurance thing, because they were going to check me out because I seemed to be okay, I said, I'm sorry, and then I went and had another grand mal seizure. So I was on the couch. Next thing I know, I was on a bed, tied down. I don't like to be the bottom. Tied down with tubes in my mouth. I couldn't say anything, but I sure could give hand signals. And I was intubated for about 2.5, 3 days.
Wow.
In a medically induced coma. I will only say that it was a wake-up call. One of many. Has a tendency to sit there. If you're not listening, it hits you with a clue-by-4. And if it doesn't listen when you hit it with a clue-by-4 and you still ignore it, then it hits you with a clue buzz, a big yellow clue buzz. And if it doesn't hit you with that one, it gives you what I had, a near-death experience. So I want to be around for those who serve me as long as I can. And I want to be able to give what I have, what I've learned, as little as it may be, or as strange as it may be, to all those who I can find. So.
We're going to be wrapping up, but I want to ask you one more question. I want to give you the last words, and I want you to be able to say anything that you wish to say. I think that it's, take as long as you want, and share whatever you wish to share, because I really honor you. I'm really thankful that I got to get to know you better, and that I spent some time with you, and I thank you for that.
Thank you. I'm going to be less verbose than I normally am. And I'm going to say that to all those out there that I do not see, but who are seeing me and hearing what I'm saying, if there's something that rings true to you, follow it. Look deeper into it. Examine it. As the saying goes, a life unexamined is not a life worth living. We, in our life, in this BDSM world that we habitate, we need to look closely at ourselves. We are dealing intensely with others, with emotions, with spirit, with energy. Look close into it. Look close into you. Look at intent. Our intent is what guides us. Our intent is what makes us ethical. Our intent is our driving force. Keep the passion. Breathe deeply. Burn with the hunger. And burn with the passion. And namaste. The spirit within me sees and appreciates the spirit within you. That's all I got.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, and I also want to thank all of the people that have been watching the show. You guys have been coming in and out. I've been watching the figures. You know, there's a lot of people that have been watching the show, and this has been amazing. And I want to thank you all. TSR Network salutes all of the members of our community. BDSM, we are one. Leathermen, clubs, leather women, dungeon owners, dominants, top slaves, homosexuals, lesbians, Fetlife, ponies, toy makers, polys, submissives, transgenders, littles, and people that are on calumny. All of these people and all the people that give munches. And we are part of being one. I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you for watching the Rev Mel Show on TSR Network. And now I'm going to go my screen share. Bam!